Minister, please. Karibu sana. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, High Commissioners, Ambassadors and Permanent Reps to IMO, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from His Excellency, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, who assigned me this noble duty to come and formally introduce Mr. Juvenal Shiundu, Kenya's candidate for the post of Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization. The government of Kenya has full confidence in the ability of Mr. Shiundu to steer this important agency of the UN to greater heights, as it plays its pivotal role in global standards, setting for safety, security, and environmental performance of international shipping. I therefore wish to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you all for honoring our invitation to this event, which is taking place only 20 days before the elections on 30th of June this year. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, regarding Mr. Shiundu and his professional competence, I do not intend to repeat the information already detailed in his campaign brochure. I believe that you may have had time to read through his vision and mission for IMO, and by extension, the global maritime industry. Suffice to say that Mr. Shiundu, an naval architect who graduated from the University of Newcastle in the United Kingdom and the World Maritime University in Sweden, is eminently qualified for the post of Secretary General of IMO. Prior to joining the IMO 17 years ago, Mr. Shiundu had consulted in the maritime sector and managed a shipyard in Mombasa with over 350 members of staff. His nearly 20 years of relevant experience, largely at IMO, has given him broad and detailed understanding of the industry and the needs of member states. Further, I believe that he has requisite qualifications and experience for this top job. In this regard, it is worth mentioning that Mr. Shiundu envisages an all-inclusive IMO founded on partnership with member governments and continuity with the effective review and reforms which the current Secretary General, Mr. Koji Sekimizu, instituted. I have no doubt in my mind that as representatives and advisors of your governments, you are indeed in a position to assess the suitability of Mr. Shiundu and positively recommend this highly qualified, experienced, hardworking, and well-organized candidate to be the next Secretary General of IMO. And before I introduce him, let me also say that as a country, Kenya, we also believe that we are doing our part in terms of enhancing maritime activities across the globe. On our part, we are fully committed and we do support this candidature of Mr. Shiundu. And part of our commitment to global maritime activities, Your Excellencies, can be demonstrated by what we are doing in Mombasa. Mombasa is the main gateway to Africa from the eastern seaboard. And through the last 2 or 3 years, we have made massive investments in Mombasa to make it now the second largest port across the continent of Africa. We are also ensuring that in terms of global security and safety, we are doing our part. You used to hear about issues about piracy on the Somali border in the Horn of Africa, the Gulf of Aden, but Kenya has invested substantially. And I think you know that in the last 2 or 3 years, you no longer hear about the piracy issues. It's because the country has invested heavily in terms of making sure there is safety and security. In terms of commercial maritime activities, the Port of Mombasa Now we are just about to launch the second container terminal. Last year we managed to reach a major benchmark by reaching 1 million containers, which is a very, very large, if you like, a benchmark in Africa. We also just launched what we call the Lamu Port, the Southern Sudan, Ethiopia Transit Corridor. This is a major investment across Central and Northern Africa, which will open up areas in Africa which were previously landlocked and which as a result had very unstable governments. As a result of investing in the port of Mombasa, we have now made sure that the rest of the countries in Africa got access to the port and to the sea. And as a result, we have now stability in those countries. And then finally, we also have invested in a $4 billion project to put a major railway from the port of Mombasa. And this is to make sure that we bring goods from the rest of the globe into Africa through Mombasa. So I believe, in addition to this candidature of Mr. Shiundu, as a country we are doing our part in making sure that we play the global responsibility, or we achieve and realize the global responsibility and accountability in terms of making sure that we promote maritime activities across the globe. And finally, Your Excellencies, in terms of advocacy and leadership, we are making sure that from the highest levels, from the President, we are playing our part in making sure that other African countries also do play their part. We are aware in terms of responsibilities and obligations, some countries in Africa have not met their obligations to the IMO. And it's through leadership of us in Eastern Africa that we are making sure that we shall bring those countries on board and make sure that IMO becomes a lot stronger. And so we believe, combined between us as a country and this candidature of somebody who has served 17 years in IMO, we believe we shall have a very, very strong combination. And I believe with your support, IMO in the coming years will become very, very strong. And so, because it's not my day, I would like to stop there, but also to thank you very much for making this big effort. And also to say that even in terms of government operations, we do value maritime operations. I don't know whether it's by coincidence, but even in our own security arrangements in the country, I can tell you that as of now, the commander, the chief of the defense forces of our country is actually a naval expert. The head of the Navy in our country, only last month, was promoted to become the chief of defense forces. Meaning, as a country, we do value this particular line in terms of global activity. And so, it's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, to introduce the one and only Mr. Juvenal Shiundu. Very passionate, committed, and I believe potentially very effective Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization. Thank you very much.